How has your day been? We delve into the why behind life's complexities using first principle thinking, offering you diverse perspectives to cultivate a truly vibrant spirit. Let's explore today's topic together. Recently, a private individual's charity appeal, marred by a lack of financial transparency, ignited a wave of public controversy. A video quickly became the eye of the storm when the character, Alex T., openly criticized benefactors, claiming that if they didn't continue to support the B family, they would be creating bad karma. Hearing this, it's truly laughable. Charity, from its very essence, has always been an act born of compassion. But is it merely an invisible chain binding our conscience, a duty humanity is compelled to fulfill to avoid future karmic retribution? And if we perform good deeds solely out of fear of karmic consequences, are we then, ultimately, just good people with an agenda? Once kindness is measured by numbers, or masked by spiritual threats, does it remain a warm light, or merely the cold glare of selfishness? Let's touch upon these thoughts about kindness to understand its true meaning and how we can give love wholeheartedly. Let's begin. First, let's clarify what kindness truly is. Kindness is a beautiful moral quality, manifesting as care, affection, and generosity towards others. It's a core value expressed primarily in two forms: material assistance and emotional support. Material support, for instance, could involve financial aid, donating necessities, providing educational opportunities, creating jobs, or enabling less fortunate individuals to lead better lives. Kindness can also be expressed through emotional sharing. This might be warm words of encouragement, an understanding gaze, or simply holding someone's hand at the right moment, helping them find a glimmer of hope during life's darkest days. Regardless of its form, kindness only holds true meaning when it stems from genuine sincerity, free of ulterior motives. It's not pity, but empathy and understanding. A truly good person doesn't give to receive, but rather to spread positive values throughout the world. The next question is, who truly is a good person? Returning to the story of the individual, Alex T., mentioned at the beginning of this episode. What enraged the public wasn't merely the call for help without transparent accounting, but this individual's attitude of transforming kindness into an obligation. When someone helps out of fear of creating bad karma, are they genuinely concerned about others' circumstances, or are they only looking out for themselves? Standing on this thin line, we cannot truly discern who is genuinely good. Here, we must refer to two concepts: the benevolent patron and the true philanthropist. At first glance, they might seem similar, but in reality, these two terms carry distinct meanings. A benevolent patron helps with a specific purpose, perhaps to build relationships, accumulate blessings, or simply to receive something in return in the future. A true philanthropist, however, gives without placing emphasis on personal gain. They help because they genuinely wish to create positive things in the world. Many mainstream news outlets today also encourage using true philanthropist instead of benevolent patron to highlight the positive and pure essence of kindness. This distinction isn't just in the naming, but also in the underlying philosophy of giving. On one side is conditional kindness, and on the other, pure kindness. Honestly, reflect for a moment. Can you truly be sure that your help to others is entirely selfless, or deep down, in some corner of your subconscious, do you believe you do good deeds to gain blessings for yourself, to build relationships, receive thanks, be honored, or perhaps to be helped later if you fall on hard times? That's why I only dare to call myself an ordinary person, learning how to live genuinely kindly. Kindness and decency share many similarities, but also possess distinct aspects. In fact, upon delving deeper into their nature, we might find that kindness merely presents an outward form of compassion, while its true essence might be something else entirely, especially when it stems from personal ego, and charity serves to reinforce that ego. Drawing this distinction isn't meant to negate the efforts of benevolent patrons, nor is it to elevate the noble gestures of true philanthropists. Because no matter what, everything they do at least brings positive value to the community. Even if their motivations differ, ultimately, they don't harm or suppress others, and that is something we should appreciate. However, this brings us to another significant question. Can kindness sometimes actually harm people? The answer is yes. Kindness is right, but is it always warranted? the spirit of mutual support and helping each other in times of hardship, encapsulated by the proverb, "Healthy leaves protect torn leaves," has long been a precious tradition of the Vietnamese people. However, in a world where social media and personal image take center stage, kindness has become a tool for self-promotion. This inadvertently erodes its intrinsic value. Is kindness being exploited? Can charitable acts retain their purity when overshadowed by demands for image and reputation? When kindness is cloaked in the glamorous attire of likes, views, and online applause, it ceases to be genuine sharing and becomes a performance to polish one's image. The concepts of embezzling or exploiting charity funds emerged with social media and fundraising campaigns led by celebrities. Numerous famous artists, MCs, comedians, and singers called upon the community to donate hundreds of billions. But when questions about transparency were raised, the community was met only with silence or unconvincing excuses. Furthermore, many social media influencers exploit charity for personal gain, engaging in scams, living ostentatiously, and showing off to enhance their personal brand, all while lacking practical actions to truly help and unite with the community. This not only erodes the sincere value of kindness, but also shatters public trust in social charitable activities, making those who genuinely wish to help more hesitant. Sometimes, kindness is misplaced and causes significant harm to the giver. Unconditional giving can inadvertently create negative consequences, leading recipients to cling to the lifeline of assistance. Help not accompanied by understanding and consideration can foster dependence rather than empowering people to rise. Amid countless harsh fates, there are those who don the cloak of poverty to lure compassion, fabricating tales of shattered lives merely to garner charity money. Without proper screening, undeserving individuals still receive help, while those truly in need are left behind. Money given to the wrong hands can abet fraudsters. Misplaced sympathy can lead to reliance instead of self-reliance. So, how can one be kind correctly? We've surely heard this saying before: enthusiasm coupled with ignorance equals destruction. This saying might be a bit harsh, but let's understand it simply. You have good intentions. You genuinely and enthusiastically want to help, but if the task requires assistance beyond your capabilities, far exceeding your understanding, and you stubbornly insist on diving in, then it's likely you yourself could become the destructive force, potentially harming yourself, others, or even both. Not only failing to help, but also causing damage and loss. Acts of sharing born from the heart are always commendable, but sometimes a lack of knowledge or haste in providing aid can put well-meaning individuals in awkward situations. For instance, if you encounter a road accident and stop to help the victim, but inadvertently become the only person present at the scene. The perpetrator has fled, and the victim's family, in their pain and frustration, turns to blame the very person who extended a helping hand. Solely due to an act born of kindness, you suddenly become entangled in misfortune, branded as guilty. One might ask, after kindness has been tested repeatedly in such ironic situations, will people still have the courage to overcome the fear of misunderstanding, suspicion, or even paying an unfair price, and be willing to open their hearts to kindness once more? When you allow your kindness to be exploited too often, what's lost isn't just trust, but also the inherent goodness within you. You have the right to give love unconditionally. However, an open heart needs discerning eyes to see through the hidden corners behind pleas for help, so as not to sow seeds of kindness on the barren soil of deceit. Decency is the choice of courageous hearts, but it must go hand in hand with transparency and placing trust in the right place. Therefore, before acting with kindness, everyone needs to thoroughly research the circumstances requiring assistance, choose to support reputable charities with clear financial reports, or personally deliver aid to those in need. Be unconditionally kind, but also be knowledgeable. We must also consider cases where parents choose to sacrifice to bring good things to their children, but many parents spoil their children, fulfilling every desire without proper guidance. This inadvertently harms the child instead of helping them mature. Parents may love their children but not truly understand them. They believe what they're doing is best, but fail to listen or care about their children's true feelings and needs. Many parents think buying beautiful clothes, expensive cars, and providing ample material possessions is a way to show care. But sometimes what children truly need is sharing, companionship, and understanding from their closest loved ones. As a result, the more they try to express love in their own way, the further they push their children away, leading to negative reactions. Many mothers, overly anxious for their children, are excessively protective. They worry about every meal and every sleep, never allowing their children to do even the smallest things themselves. Even when children make mistakes, they are quick to defend and condone. This parenting style, over time, makes children dependent, lacking self-reliant skills, and unable to face challenges. If parents don't set boundaries, instilling discipline and responsibility, children may develop a habit of relying on others and failing to take responsibility for their actions. When they enter real life, if they encounter difficulties or failures, they easily fall into confusion and lose direction. And ironically, these very children, once excessively sheltered, turn around to blame their parents. Why didn't you teach me to be strong? Why didn't you show me how to be independent from an early age? At that point, perhaps parents finally realize that love isn't just about giving. It's also about teaching children to stand firmly on their own feet. Knowledgeable kindness not only demands understanding others, but also understanding oneself. In life, we are always taught to help others. Yet, we cannot extend our loving embrace to someone else if we don't know how to love ourselves. The philosopher Jia Yi once said that you cannot help others if you are not capable of helping yourself. This is like a blind person trying to lead another. The result is that both will get lost. We often think that helping others is a noble deed. But if we lack sufficient understanding or capability, that help can backfire, making the problem even more complicated. So sometimes, helping oneself is already helping others. To cultivate compassion, we not only need to understand and respect others, but also clearly recognize our own core selves. When our hearts are open enough to be tolerant of ourselves, only then can we look deeply into another person, touching the deepest parts of their soul. True compassion isn't merely the act of helping, but the ability to look deeply into circumstances, into the nature of the problem, to clearly understand others' needs, and to consider whether we are truly capable of helping them. Sometimes, kindness isn't about rushing in to help immediately, but about stepping back, observing, and finding the most effective way to assist. While debates surrounding kindness constantly dominate social media, and people endlessly discuss the right way to give and receive, a story from many years ago resurfaced. A father's handwritten ledger, over 30 pages long, titled, "Donations for My Child David." Every act of help was meticulously recorded, from someone donating 400,000 VND worth of rice to a ride given without charge. Not for accounting or expecting anything in return, but so that if he ever had the chance to meet them again, the father could repay their kindness, or simply so his son would understand that goodness always exists in this world. Moreover, those who helped young David probably never expected to be remembered or repaid. But for the father, kindness wasn't just about giving, it was also about remembrance and gratitude. Just as Mr. Thang, David's father, cherished those acts of kindness, Sarah also couldn't forget the person who helped her during her most difficult time. Many years ago, when taking her child for medical treatment, Sarah received 8 taels of gold from Emily, with no promissory note, no interest, simply based on trust and empathy. When life became more stable, that debt of kindness always remained in Sarah's heart. Not because of pressure to repay, but because she understood she had received something profoundly beautiful. However, time had erased all traces, contact was lost, only the memory of a woman who had extended a helping hand remained. Not giving up, Sarah decided to ask the online community for help, posting a search notice with the faint hope that Emily might read it somewhere. And then a miracle happened. Thanks to the power of social media, Sarah found Emily. A reunion after so many years was not just to return the gold, but also an opportunity for Sarah to express the gratitude she had harbored in her heart all those years. In summary, kindness is not a mandatory duty but a choice to become a useful person, bringing positive change to society. However, kindness is a gift, but it also needs to be given to the right hands, to the right people. Goodness also requires knowledge. Otherwise, people will only create ungrateful individuals who demand more than they deserve. Kindness is given voluntarily, without demanding repayment, but it truly needs to be cherished. Be generous, but learn to place your trust wisely. Because every time you give, you are preserving the flame of goodness to continue warming the lives that truly need to be shared with.